Hi there, I'm Rebecca Ryan King and I'm a speech pathologist, and I have with me some kinetic sand, and it's because I started recently sharing on Instagram at Adventures in Speech Pathology what I called a Therapy Tip Tuesday. And Therapy Tip Tuesday was when I pulled something from my cupboard or something from my drawers over here, and it could be a really simple thing, such as kinetic sand, and I show you how you can use a really simple activity to get high practice trials in your session but still keep the child engaged. You might know this, but if you pull out like a super fun game, sometimes our kids can get so engrossed and involved in this fun game that it's hard to get speech practice in. So this is a happy medium. We're getting practice, but the child is still having fun. So in a real simple nutshell, what we're doing with this is we are hiding things in the sand, and then later on the child is going to dig them out. That's what this activity is. I know it sounds so simple and it can sound a little bit boring, but trust me on this. The simple fun stuff like hiding and finding things is really engaging to a lot of my kids, and they love the sensory feeling of this kinetic sand too. So here's how it works. Let's say, for example, I'm using a phonological approach. I might be using complexity approach, minimal pairs, cycles. What I'll do is we might say 3 practices or 4 practices or 5 practices of our words or pairs, and then I will get a marble. Marbles are one of my favorite things to hide, and I just pop it in the sand like this, and the child gets to cover it up. So it's a lot of back and forth, but the child, they're touching the sand, every 20 seconds or after every certain number of repetitions and practices, they're covering everything up. So eventually, sometimes you can see through, eventually this whole container is is full of marbles. Now, if you're practicing some speech sounds, you've taken some articulation approach, maybe you're working on S. I love using these little minis from Speech Tree Code. They're little mini figurines, and they all contain the target sounds as the figurines. So for example, there'd be a seal and a starfish and a bus in there. So I might, for an articulation student, we might do that, hide actual really, little mini figurines in there. Okay, so after everything is hidden, usually I might do another task and then come back to the finding, but if the child really wants to find it, we either get a finger, or I might just grab a pen or even a paintbrush, and I say, okay, let's find those marbles. But we have to practice our pairs again, or our words, or our sentences or phrases. You might, if you can think on the spot, and if you know a target sound that is meaningful, like let's say if the child is working on S, you might say that word in a phrase or sentence like, can I see a marble? And then, they've practiced that S in that phrase. And then we get this and we dig it in, and we might turn it around and we see if we can find a marble, and we can't. So then it's the next person's turn. And again, we get our speech practice in because we are practicing, and then you get to poke and you move it around. And I have found a little marble here, which I then take out. It is so simple, but this one activity can last you a whole 30-minute therapy session. And if you've got groups, then it's really fun. It's great for turn taking as well. So again, all you really need is kinetic sand. Here it is. Marbles are my preferred thing to hide, only because if you sometimes use other things, the sand can get stuck all in there, but it's very smooth and easy with marbles. And lastly, just to remind you, mini figurines, they can be really fun because they can contain the target sounds that the child is working for. If you like this and you thought, that's something new, I'm going to use that tomorrow or next week with my kids, make sure you look at our playlist. We've got a playlist where we take common things that you probably have in your room, and we just show you a different way that you might want to use them to increase your practice trials in your session, and it just gives you more flexibility with the stuff that you already have versus going out and always buying new games and things. So I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe so that you can see more tips, and I'll be back with another Therapy Tip Tuesday.